digest. So B was a really good answer. If Mary gives them the process, they have time to sit and soak on it. Exciting them and motivating them, Mary is likely to be good at that. And it's not to say that C is incorrect, but it's not the thing that's going to motivate Bill and Jacques. They need policy, information, security, team inclusion, not recognition. Everyone needs recognition, but only after they've got their basic needs of policy, information, and security. D was the correct answer. Really important for her to reassure them. Fears of conflict and chaos, and change pushes them towards their fears. So remember, if you're dealing with change management, look at the communication styles and the fears. E was not a correct answer because they're not likely to enjoy a fast pace, and they're not likely to enjoy the face-to-face communication. For a high C, if it's not written, it's not real. So well done on that question. Now we're going to get into the last part of our webinar and talk all about coaching. Coaching is a hot topic. For those of you that have been coached, it's an exciting process that kind of puts you on the spot and asks you to pull from deep within and come up with answers. For those of you that are coaching others, I think one of the biggest frustrations is you don't get to tell them what to do. And I guess you all know that I'm a high D. So here are some bulleted pieces of information for you that shows us when to manage and when to coach. The important thing for a leader to realize is managing is about monitoring and controlling and giving direction. So if I don't want input from others, then I need to manage the situation. If I do want input from others, then I need to coach. So you can see the differences in style. I think most managers today that have a high D like to do the telling. And the reason why, they get to their goals very quickly. But the downside is they don't empower others. So taking that extra time with coaching and letting the employees solve their problem, slowing down and asking lots of powerful questions really empowers and develops the other person. And the biggest advantage in terms of outcomes is the long-term focus of coaching, because coaching takes time, but it builds confident, empowered employees ready to step up and lead. Managing is a very short-term way of dealing with others, and others learn to follow instructions when we manage. And this can be a very disempowering experience. So we're not really building people up to learn for the future. We need to manage when time is short, when we're in a crisis, and when we don't have time to coach, or when we've already had input and now it's time to tell. But coaching is the one skill that managers probably are the weakest at and can get the biggest gain by learning how to do this. It's a very simple process, and through the different coaching colleges, each coaching college will have their own version of the process. This is the version I like, and it's based on some studies that have been done through the Coaching Federation and based on some workshops that we've had with outside coaches called the Coaching Clinic. And we can refer you into those people if you would like to explore coaching in a one-day or a two-day option at your company. But basically, in coaching, we are trying to have the coachee, which is the person we're coaching, discover the answers for themselves. So there are 5 steps, and each step builds on the previous step. So the first step is to establish focus. What is it we want to do today? So for example, let's say I'm coaching that director who was going crazy about not getting the job. I might say to her, Mary, let's talk about what we want to accomplish today. Let's get focused here. What is it you'd like to discuss? And maybe Mary says, I'd like to discuss how I can cope with this promotion that I didn't get and turn it into something positive, or how I can deal with it. So that's the focus. Second step is to explore options. So what are the various options that are available to Mary? And it's important here to use really powerful questions. Once we've explored the options, then Mary is going to talk about the possible actions that she would like to take and what the best action would be. And maybe the best action for her would be, to change her attitude. But of course, then we have to ask her, well, what are some of the barriers at the moment to changing that attitude of yours? Let's talk about those, and let's talk about how we can remove them. And so Mary is giving me the information as I'm coaching her, and of course this is very, very simplified, but anyone can follow the process. And finally, it's a commitment to being accountable. And so Mary, I need to ask Mary how she'd like me to hold her accountable. Is she going to hold herself accountable? How will she know when she's successful? So the 5 steps are pretty easy to follow, especially if you have the questions. And so on the next slide, I've just given you 2 or 3 questions for each step of the conversation. Now tomorrow when we upload the supporting material, I've done a really nice piece for you with 2 pages of powerful coaching questions and then a 2-page document that a manager can use to build his or her coaching questions. So it's going to be a very useful and interactive tool for you when teaching managers how to apply this. I did this in a team building workshop with district managers in a retail environment and had them each coach each other. They worked in pairs. We went through the process. I gave them the questions. I told them to select something simple from their personal life, follow the process, and it worked like an absolute dream. So it's all about following the process. So first, getting the focus for the day, looking at options. What have you tried already? What can you think of that can solve this? What kind of outcomes do you want? Looking at actions, what needs to happen, who needs to do what? Removing barriers, what are the roadblocks, what resources do you need, what's bothering you, and then finally making a commitment. So holding the person accountable, asking them how they're going to hold themselves accountable. If the coach remembers, it's about powerful questions. That really is the secret of success as we move from a command and control style to a telling and a leading style. The right questions at the right time with the right intent. That's what coaching is all about. An interesting piece here is that usually when we ask questions, we are motivated by our own need for information in order to make a decision. We have to flip that on its head in coaching. In coaching, the questions are meant to stimulate the coachee in terms of his or her thinking and deepen their understanding. The questions are not about us looking for information. There may be some questions where we're looking for information. But if you think of the normal run-of-the-mill of a manager and what he's doing day to day, he's usually motivated by asking questions to get information and see how far along the project is. But in coaching, we're asking the question for the coachee's benefit. So I hope this has been useful for you. We'll take up any questions on the web. We'll look at the questions that have come in, if any have come in, and we'll answer those on the web. We've got some interesting downloadable resources. There's a DISC communication preference guide, a summary, and then there's the Thomas coaching guide, which is the 2 pages of coaching questions and then 2 pages of a planning guide that you can use quite successfully in your own coaching adventures or even when you're teaching others to coach. If you're looking for a full-length communication quiz, there's one on Psychology Today. And then these are books that I've read over the years, and it's my own star rating. So you can see these are all books I can say are pretty good. If you're looking for something for junior managers, Giving and Receiving Feedback is a nice 50-minute series book. It's very easy. If you're looking for first-time supervisors, Perfect Phrases for Managers and Supervisors is an excellent read. Fierce Conversation, obviously, it's a great book. So these are resources that you'll be able to download in the next couple of days on the client resource site. Remember, we have our next webinar on October 6th. You'll be receiving some information about that. And we're excited to be able to tell you that we're going to do the webinar that day on our sales study. We've done a North American sales study, and it's involved 500 top sales performers